Welcome to Mondays with Mondane, where we explore topics that shape our lives and communities, especially the marginalized. I'm your host, Edie Mondane, and today we have a very troubling episode. We're touching on the conflict in Israel and Palestine. Tonight, I'm asking the question, where should we be? At a time when the Black Lives Matter movement shook America, the world witnessed an united outcry against the shameful violence and hatred targeted at a race of people who had a long history of being treated as less than human and killed in these, our streets of America. I must admit that I have mixed feelings about the ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine. And to be honest, many of us find ourselves baffled and unsure about what to say or what to do. Many of us are afraid to express our emotions and our thoughts, and there doesn't seem to be enough time to fully comprehend the reasons or evil that has led to the situation unfolding right now before us. As we reflect upon these events, we must remember that the NAACP and all of our historically black colleges and universities, the HBCUs, were significantly aided by the Jewish sympathizers who were not afraid to stand up against injustice and inequality. Yes, it is a heartbreakingly complex situation, and while we may not have all the answers, we certainly can't afford to stay silent. If we remain silent in the face of evil and mayhem anywhere, we become contributors to the tactics used by our common enemies to destroy one another in wars and take innocent lives with misguided information and hate fueled by fear, lies, and evil imaginations. I've got the answer to the problem. Now, the answer to this devastation is that this war must end, and it must end now. Look, both sides are in violation of the suffrage of far too many innocent lives. The deadly attacks by Hamas on Israeli civilians and the devastating Israeli airstrikes and blockade of Gaza have raised accusations amongst international legal experts that both sides are violating international law. Massacring civilians is a war crime, and there can be no justification for these reprehensible attacks. The Israeli military has made this challenge. They've got a real challenge where you have one of the most densely populated places on earth where you have a combatant that's hiding behind and firing from those positions, using the civilians as human shields. This is a horrible challenge. The majority of Israel's defense establishment has made this pledge. They want to fight until every trace of militancy is gone from the territory, which this is necessary. But should that come at the cost of wreaking mass havoc on the besieged strip's civilian population? I think not. Israelis' relentless airstrikes could come under scrutiny both because of the heavy civilian death toll and heavy damage to the civilian infrastructure. We're seeing reports of entire neighborhoods, blocks that are reduced to rubble. Certainly, that would appear to be, war crimes as well. We've seen attacks that have affected hospitals and other areas that are entitled to protection. In a perfect world, I think that Israel and Palestine should partner in combating their common enemy. By becoming a two-state nation and celebrating humanity, this can only happen through prayer and rational government. This can't happen without God. Tonight, I want to address my Jewish friends and neighbors. Listen, I want you to know, for those of you that I work with, love, and respect, I want you to know this. I see you, and I support you in your pain. There are many of us who want to speak out, but we're left wondering what to say. Are we justifying the killing of innocent people? Would we do that for our own families? My heart tells me that no Jewish person that I know wants to see innocent Palestinians die. No one wants to witness the horrors of war. Nobody wants that. It's crucial to recognize. We've got to understand. Many Jews disagree with the policies of the Israeli government. Many Jews have advocated for a two-state solution, just as there are many of us who strongly oppose some policies of the American government. It doesn't mean that all Americans should bear the consequences of those policies. Was Afghanistan right to create an environment where al-Qaeda could thrive and carry out 9/11 attacks? I don't think so. In the same vein, it's vital for us to remember that not all Palestinians are associated with or support Hamas. Painting an entire population with a broad brush is not only unfair, but counterproductive to finding a peaceful resolution to this long-standing conflict. Generalizations and stereotypes, they hinder the path to understanding and dialogue between communities. All people, and I mean this, all people, regardless of their backgrounds, want to feel safe. Jews are no different. History reminds us that even during the Civil Rights Movement, the mother of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a slain civil rights leader, was assassinated in her church during Sunday morning worship while she was playing the organ. 4 little girls lost their lives in a church fire during Sunday morning worship in the South. I have no doubt that the Jewish people are tired of walking into their temples and being greeted by barricades and undercover police. Man, I am sure that they have grown weary of seeing hateful graffiti, just as we were weary of signs saying blacks aren't welcome here, and this is you can't drink from this fountain, etc. This isn't just a merely political issue; it's basic human decency. When we see hundreds of innocent lives lost at music festivals or in their own homes, it's a stark reminder that it's time to raise our voices and say, enough is enough. As Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. The human voice of reason is the most effective weapon in fighting any war. We all know the consequences when we choose silence. I recently heard someone say, neutrality helps the oppressor, but never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, but never the tormented. So I urge you and every one of us to be a voice for reason, compassion, and unity. We've got to stand together in the face of injustice and ensure that history remembers us for the good that we did in these very trying times. This is Edie Mondene, and that's what I said. Thank you for tuning in. We're looking forward to seeing you next week with our special guest, Joanne Hardesty, the former Portland commissioner and activist. Until then, stay alert, and we must pay attention to what's happening around the world. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and followers. We'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions. Future topics come from you. Turn on your notifications so you never miss a thing from Mondays with Mondene. And be sure to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. A special shout out to our sponsors, Poshines, Aunties and Tanties, Daycare Services, Adorn Electric, for their support of this podcast. And you can visit me on Sunday mornings right here at Celebration Tabernacle at 8131 North Denver, here in Portland, Oregon. Now, I want to say a special thank you to our technical staff. We couldn't do this without them. Dion, Robin, Andy, and Paul. Not one of them is bigger than the other, and they all stand tall. These are the guys who make this thing possible. I want to say to you, God bless you, God keep you, and good night.
Hey, it's time for you to come to Post Shine. Check out that catfish sandwich. Oh my goodness, is that the shrimp po' boy? Man, look at that chocolate chip cake. Man, I need to get over to Post Shines at 8139 North Denver right now because this food looks delicious. Or call if you'd like, 503-978-9000. And don't miss it, you'll be sorry.
In times gone past, we find ourselves making excuses so that people reminded, ooh, I've got to get home and tend to the brand new missus. I need some time alone. Can't this wait until I finish texting on my phone?